Alright guys, so welcome to Rest of Designs, and we're back on Project Freebie. And it being Project Freebie, I've been given some freebies, some more freebies. Big thank you to Ruben Piers, who donated and gave me a free Mark III front subframe. And also João B from Iracera also sorted me out with a set of front hubs from a Golf Mark III. They're 256s, but they're solid, not vented ones. I saw them there on the floor. I asked him what he was doing with them. He didn't want them. So I thought, okay, at the very least, I can use the hub carriers. And then the next day, gave them a bit of a clean. And I could see that the caliper is actually the same. Solid or vented is actually the same. 54, same part number, same dimensions, same thickness, everything. So all I needed was basically the vented 256 carriers, which I had a set laying around. I didn't have the calipers. So that was an amazing result. Well, I've had stuff come from the UK. So I've got a gearbox, I've got rods, pistons, head, block, all the ABF stuff's here. I've also sourced here in Portugal all the bits I need, the power steering pipes, the bottle, the bracket, hubs, calipers, carriers, wishbones, anti-roll bar, subframe, front engine mount and bracket, rear engine mount and bracket, cross member, brake servo, rear stub axles, rear calipers, discs, pads, rear anti-roll bar, an eye-back one. I've sourced everything. So there's quite a lot to cover in. It won't all happen in this video. I'm probably going to break it down to 2 or 3 parts, but you guys do actually quite like me going into deep detail of the project and building it up. As you can see, kind of progressing in stages, and I'm going to attack this in stages. So I'm going to do the front first. So that's basically prepping all the bits, getting all the rust off them. I'm going to show you how to do that and what I've done and how I do it. All right, guys, so here's the before and here's the after. So what I do is I go with this angle grinder. I do like these wire brushes on the angle grinder more than on the drill. Definitely, one, they work a lot quicker and they're a lot more effective at removing rust. So this is what they look like before. Stripped them down, obviously took the bearing out, took the flange off because I want one with an ABS ring on it. And as you can see, these haven't been sandblasted or anything, just literally left them in the solution with these crystals from this company. There's the bucket of water. And this is, after a wipe, this is what they come out like. They're absolutely, look like they've been sandblasted. So, so cool. And next, actually, by the same company, I'm actually going to use this zinc-rich primer on them, and then give these a nice quick lick of satin black. Now the nuts and bolts, I need to get them plated because otherwise they will just rust very, very quickly. But I have to try and sort that out in the next day or so. But anyway, I can carry on. Now I've still got to do the other side. So I've accumulated some more parts. So I've got the bearings, the flanges, the hubs, if you want to call them, the 4x100 with the ABS, new ball joints. These are the bushes that I fit, which are out of the TT R32 Mark IV. They fit perfectly in there and go in perfectly and work with the Mark III. Got a set of good 4x100 Mark III wide track wishbones, and these are the hubs that came out of the solution that I put them in. And what I've done is use that zinc primer and also a good matte finish rust-proof paint on it. Press the bearings in, put the flanges on, build up the front end. All right, so we've done all the prepping, done all the spraying and the primering and plating of all the bolts and rust removal of all the bits and pieces, and I've laid it all out here on the floor so you guys can see all the bits here. Now I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way, put the battery in the car, get the car started. It's been, maybe it hasn't started in about, I don't know, a month and a half, 6 weeks. Get it started, bringing it into the workshop, and let's start stripping this car down. All right, so I've cleared all the stuff, moved it to the side. Got the keys to Project Freebie. Now, let's see if it'll start. Okay, battery's in. See if I get ignition. Yes. The reason why that's not working, I've disconnected it. Quickly just removed the radiator. All right, so here we have the radiators. So here's the before and here's the after. As you can see, it's got double the fans and potentially double or almost double the surface area for cooling, as well as the core is also thicker as well. Before we actually get to mount this, what I'm gonna have to do is remove this bracket here and this cross member, support the engine up so that we can do that. As you can see, this is the bit that with not a lot of torque will actually pull out. Let me put them side by side so you guys can have a clearer picture of what I'm talking about. You see exactly the same, but it just runs the much far superior Mark III front mount. And also, like I said, you have to change the brackets, be it this gearbox, be it an O2A or an O2J. Obviously not this style mount, but you need to change. As you can see, the angle here is different compared to that one. I've got all the bolts. I had a spare set of bolts and I've had them all plated. This is what the original ones look like. All right, guys, so the front cross member's on with that bracket and also a plated bolt for good order. Next is going to be the radiator. Go clean up these dividers, fit them on the rad, mount the rad up. Also got myself some connectors because obviously the coolant pipes are on the wrong side, so I'm going to have to make something up to fit on here. Okay, let's clean these. So this is progressing really, really well. I'm quite happy with the way it's going so far. So as you can see, I've made up some pipes with some bends. I've actually used one of the original pipes, cut it up, put the bend down there. Also this, I've had to massage this slightly so it doesn't cut into it, as well as reinforce it with another pipe on the outside. I actually might get a P-clip at one point just to hold it on there so it is well away and safe. I'll probably end up painting these black. The reason why I've done this is that if I do need to revert back to this engine, everything's already made up. Worst case scenario, I don't have to reinvent it. It's all done already for me. That's why I'm kind of going through this process. I've already removed a few bits here. I've removed the expansion bottle and the bracket and also the master cylinder so that I can take off and have more access to the servo, as well as the reason why I've taken off more than I needed to was because obviously this bracket here is bigger and it goes to the side, and it does have this extra little stud which I'm going to have to drill, mark up and drill in the bulkhead. But before I can do that, I've got to remove this, and I've got to do that on the inside, take some trims off. But while I'm out here, actually, also the speedo wasn't working, so I also sourced a brand new cable. That's the best I could find, actually. Unfortunately, it was this top round one. Okay, so the nuts now that we need to take off are going to be that one there, another one there, and the other one's right at the top. And also we've got to take off this little clip here.
that actually holds the servo. It's where it connects to the actual brake pedal itself. And also while I'm down here, I might as well remove the nut and bolt that's on here as well for the steering UJ. Release those 3 bolts. Now just got with a screwdriver pry off this little clip here. Yep, so I was able to get it off, and then you just need to slide it out like so. And as you can see already, it's kind of dropped through already. So now carefully lift it up, not to damage these brake lines. And here you guys can see the size comparison between the B3, B4 brake booster bracket with the added bit for the clutch master. And here you can see the difference between the 7-inch and the 9-inch. So obviously this now is going to amplify the pedal pressure much more than the small little 7-inch one. So as you guys can see, the difference is quite a big difference between them. So as you can see, guys, it's more or less about 70 mil away from that bottom bolt, more or less to the center of this one. Obviously, you're going to have to mark it with using the bracket on there and kind of guesstimating, but it's more or less about 70 mil away, as you can see from that bottom bolt. It's going to be a tight squeeze with all these brake lines and stuff in the way, but hopefully get it in without scratching the freshly painted servo. Okay, so I've tightened up the 313s, and I just need to put this little spring clip to hold that on. That's really important. So as you can see, with the extra hole that's come through there, where the extra bolt protrudes, now it comes really close to the old style pedal box. When we put the Passat pedal box in, obviously it will incorporate this and it will clear it properly. But here now, you can get a knot on there, and I will put a knot on there just to be safe. Okay, so all I've done is just nipped it up so it kind of holds it in place and there's no chance of anything vibrating off. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is gonna remove the 13 nut and bolt that holds the steering UJ in. It's kind of always better to do it this way around, so don't put the gearbox side on first, put this side on, because then you can actually pull it as much as you can and pull the dash out and actually clip it on a lot easier. So slowly getting there, putting this trim back on. Now you'd be surprised how many times I've seen the wrong screws in the wrong place. These VW type screws, there's 2 sizes. There's a smaller one and a bigger one. The smaller ones go in up here, 1, 2, 3. And then the bigger ones all go at the bottom. And also the smaller ones are the ones that actually hold the clocks in place as well, in the 2 little support brackets. Actually takes the smaller ones. You'd be surprised how many people don't realize that. So it's all come together really nicely. Just need to fit the stereo in. But before that, I'm gonna fit some speakers in, but that's for another episode, for another day. Now let's connect the other side of the speedo. Get this grommet on as well. It needs to go on there. Now next to go on is the 22mm master cylinder. It's quite important that you do that mod, because obviously the brake calipers I'm going to be fitting, the pistons are bigger, so you do need more volume to match. There's also, you can go for 23mm that comes off the Mark III, and there's also a 25mm that comes off a VW Transporter T4 non-ABS, which is the biggest one. I was contemplating in putting the 25 one on here, but with the 256s, it doesn't seem worth it at the moment. And at a later stage, I'm actually toying with the idea maybe of doing a 4-pot caliper setup with something that can fit under 14s, maybe like a 270, but I need to find a thicker disc, I need to find the right caliper, that I can fit them under a set of steel 14s, but that's for a later stage. Let's just button this up now. Okay, so almost done here. Again, putting some new plated nuts on here. And also, I've actually put in the cap with the sensor, the level sensor, because this 1300 doesn't have the level sensor for the coolant or for the actual brake reservoir. So at a later stage, I'm going to wire that in as well, because it's also always safer to have that than not to have that. I don't know why VW didn't do that as standard. Okay, so I've almost finished here now. So I'm quite happy with progress so far. That's all buttoned up and all done. Now, I'm not going to put the expansion bottle on or the bracket on, because one, I want to give that a bit of a clean and a bit of a paint as well. And as well as also it gives me nice access to this gearbox mount there. So I've loosened that one off already. And I've also loosened off the free for the engine mount at the back there. So now take these wheels off and start stripping down the hubs. So here we have these massive 239 solid discs. And as you can see, the brake lines are really rock hard. They need to be changed. There you go. In the next video, I'll be doing the subframe, the power steering, the anti-roll bar, replacing the crank pulley, removing the alternator, and getting all the power steering bits done on this car. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, ding-a-ling-a-ling, click on the notification bell, and be safe.